good news for the Bharatiya Janata Party, at least on the basis of those projections and, of course, the larger poll of polls in 2 states. But viewers, it's Delhi where the action right now is concentrated, where the nation's gaze is focused. The Liquorgate scam has singed the Aam Aadmi Party. In a massive setback, Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia has been sent to CBI custody till 4th March. After Satyendar Jain, Sisodia becomes the second Delhi Mantri to be locked up. AAP, however, alleges that this is a witch hunt by the centre to stop the good work of Sisodia and to taint the Imandar party ahead of crucial state polls. But in court, the central agency pointed to what they believe is a watertight case on the basis of indisputable evidence. At least that's what the CBI is claiming. Now let's go over the arguments by the CBI in court today and the counters by Sisodia's lawyers. So viewers, there you can see them on your screens. It's all turning out to be a battle of versions. The CBI has come out and said that Sisodia was evasive during his questioning, and that's one of the reasons why they need to continue with his custody. Sisodia's counsel says we have appeared whenever the notice has been served. The CBI then makes a very serious allegation, says Sisodia used 3 phones, destroyed all 3. So they've accused him of destroying evidence. He said, I'm a minister, I can't give my phone to a shop for repairs, so I just basically junk them. Profit margin enhanced from 5 to 12%. Now, this is one of the provisions of the new liquor policy, where profit margins were ensured, greater profit margins were ensured to retailers. Sisodia's counsel says that he's a public servant, the issue at hand is sensitive, and therefore they don't want to really go into it too much. Sisodia failed to explain the changes in the policy, to which Sisodia's counsel said not contesting doesn't mean I didn't cooperate. Not confessing doesn't mean that I didn't cooperate. It doesn't mean that I am open to being arm twisted. The entire cases of profit are pro manner, to which Sisodia's counsel has come out and said, for innocent person, all evidence is irrelevant. All offences I'm accused of punishable up to 7 years. And therefore, this is a case which is being foisted upon me so that I can be put away for a long time. Now, Times Now is the only channel to put a microphone to Manish Sisodia as he was whisked away by the CBI and then later produced in court. Watch this sequence.
Manish, would you like to say something, Manish? You have been arrested and there's a massive protest which is also going on. Manish, you would like to say something?
Well, as the politics and the blame game raged, AAP today held nationwide protests against what they call a black day in democracy. Here's a glimpse of the dharna, the drama, followed by detentions witnessed throughout the day. Watch this.
जब रंगा बल्ला देश में शासन कर रहे हैं, तब कुछ नहीं है इस देश में।
Glimpses of the high voltage AAP protests. But remember, the CBI's case against Sisodia hinges on 2 key testimonies. One by Sisodia's former secretary, C. Arvind, who told CBI that giving wholesale businesses to private entities was mentioned in the group of ministers report, but it was never ever discussed. He further claimed that the provision of 12% profit margin to private entities was against the expert committee's recommendation. Let's go into some of these confessions that have been made by this particular individual, the former secretary of Mr. Sisodia, C. Arvind. He said 12% margin for private entities. In his confession, he said, called to the Chief Minister residence in mid-March 2021. Mr. Sisodia, Mr. Jain were present. They gave me a draft copy of the group of ministers' meetings, or that was formulated by the group of ministers, the draft copy really of the liquor policy. 12% profit margin clause originated from the GOM report. However, there was no discussion or file on how the 12% margin was decided. So he claims it was arbitrary, it was just inserted, and it was against the expert committee's recommendation. So really very serious, viewers. He also talks about how the provision in the policy was made for wholesale business to private entities. So wholesale business was opened up to private entities. It was not discussed in the GOM, or the group of ministers meeting. So a very serious charge. This is really the testimony that the CBI is relying on, and this person is clearly turned an approver. Another testimony is that of Dinesh Arora, accused turned approver. He told the CBI that he collected funds for the Aam Aadmi Party's election campaign and handed checks to Sisodia himself. Arora told the CBI that after rupees 100 crore was paid to the Aam Aadmi Party, the remaining rupees 100 crore was to be divided between Vijay Nair, a co-accused, and other bidders from South India, and that this partnership was to continue for about 3.5 years. He further claimed that Nair was involved in the Delhi Excise Policy scam and was closely associated with AAP government, in particular Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi. Viewers, further rationalizing their decision to press for custody, the CBI says that Sisodia was acting suspiciously and was highly evasive during the tenure of the entire probe, which began in October last year. And this is what the CBI said: 170 phones, SIM cards destroyed by Sisodia and others who are today either co-accused or part of this conspiracy. Sisodia changed and destroyed 7 phones during the probe tenure, which, as I told you, began last year. Remained non-cooperative during questioning, didn't answer questions on 100 crores that were solicited from the South Group, or a group of South entities, couldn't explain how cabinet concealed note favoring findings of the GOM. All of these things needed to be clarified with Mr. Sisodia, and therefore custody needed to be extended. And of course, the court granted the CBI an extended custody. The trouble for Aam Aadmi Party is that anti-corruption agencies, in particular the CBI and the ED, have set their sights on others besides the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Sisodia. In fact, also in their mind's eye and on the radar are Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister himself. Now, viewers, let me take you through this. Why is Arvind Kejriwal in the eye of the investigation? Because there were references made to him in the ED charge sheet. We've already talked about Manish Sisodia, but there's also Bibhav, who is Kejriwal's PA, and he's been also questioned by the ED. Jasmine Shah, Vice Chairman of the Delhi Dialogues Committee, was summoned by the ED. Dinesh Arora, Sisodia's aide, accused, has turned an approver. And you know what he has said, because I just read out his submission to the CBI. Devendra Sharma, Sisodia's PS, has also been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate, and K. Kavita, Telangana Chief Minister's daughter, has been also referenced in the ED charge sheet. And the ED believes that she is somebody who formed an interface between the basic group of South-based bidders and the AAP government. Now, whether this is true or not, viewers, it remains to be seen. But the noose is also tightening around the South group, which allegedly gave bribes of rupees 100 crores to top netas and bureaucrats in the Kejriwal government. And most of these individuals, according to the CBI and other agencies, are linked to the to individuals who are part of the political system down south. So there is a YSRCP MP. There is also Chief Minister KCR's daughter, who is a BRS MLC. And on the right, you can see, viewers, the people who have received the kickbacks allegedly on behalf of the Aam Aadmi Party. All of these are, of course, claims that are being made in the course of this investigation by the CBI and the ED. The ED charge sheet mentions this kickback worth 100 crores. AAP, of course, calls this a political witch hunt, devoid of any substantial evidence against Sisodia. Listen in to how the AAP reacted today.
2.5 लाख करोड़ का कर्जा दे दिया, 84,000 करोड़ का कर्जा माफ कर दिया, और उस अडानी ने क्या किया हिंदुस्तान के साथ? बगल के मॉरिशस में 6 कंपनियां एक पते पे खोली, फर्जी कंपनियां, और 42,000 करोड़ रुपए का काला धन अपनी कंपनियों में लगाया। ये काला धन किसका है मोदी जी? पूरा देश आपसे पूछ रहा है।
देखिए, अब इस देश में क्या लोकतंत्र बचा है? आप एक तरफ बिना किसी सबूत के, आज भी मनीष सिसोदिया जी के खिलाफ 1 रुपए के भ्रष्टाचार का सबूत नहीं है, आप बिना किसी सबूत के किसी को गिरफ्तार भी कर रहे हो, और अब आप कहो कि आपको आवाज उठाने का भी अधिकार नहीं।
जिस तरह से पूरे देश में तानाशाही लागू है, उसका परिचय कल से केंद्र सरकार दे रही है।
आप जिस नेता को मिल जाएं, आप उसको गिरफ्तार करें, आप उसको जेल में डालें, आम आदमी पार्टी को कुचल दें। 24 घंटे से पहले आपको उनको जो है कोर्ट के अंदर पेश करना पड़ेगा। और अगर ये बात मैं नहीं कहता तो ये डिटेंशन की कहानी शाम तक चलती रहती।
Well, viewers, opposition parties have also closed ranks and united against the centre for the alleged misuse of central agencies to target opposition leaders. There is, of course, always going to be question marks over the agencies. This is primarily because while they open cases against politicians, especially those in the opposition, these cases don't necessarily end in conviction or even reach any logical conclusion. Let me just run you through some of these cases. Cases against the Gandhis. The ED's charge is money laundering in stakes and assets of the National Herald. It's still pending before the Patiala High Court. And the Gandhis have, of course, been granted bail. So this is a sub judice matter. Hemant Soren, Jharkhand Chief Minister, JMM, of course. ED's charge is that the CM is linked to a 1,000 crore illegal mining scam. But Governor Ramesh Bais has not acted on the EC's recommendation. The recommendation allegedly is for taking action against the Chief Minister. So why that hasn't happened, we don't know. Praful Patel, NCP leader, ED's charge, laundering in CJ House case linked to Iqbal Mirchi. Status, the case is pending. It seems to be in a limbo. Sanjay Raut of the Sena, of course, the Uddhav Thackeray part of the Sena. Here, the ED alleges that Rao benefited from the Patra Chol redevelopment project. Special court, the status, it's in special court, arrest was illegal and been granted bail. So the special court, at least on the face of it, has not really bought into the ED's charge. Abhishek Banerjee benefited from illegal trade of coal from Asansol. This is what the ED has alleged. September 22, the status, SC extends protection from arrest. So Abhishek Banerjee is still a free person. P. Chidambaram, ED and CBI's charges straightforward, quid pro quo in FIBP clearance to INX Media. The status of this case, arrested by CBI in August 19, then arrest Sovendu and others allegedly taking bribe. In 2020, joined the BJP. And as of now, no action against Mr. Adhikari. Other co-accused in this particular scandal, Firad Hakim, Subrata Mukherjee, Madan Mitra, Sovan Chatterjee have all been arrested. Mukul Roy, 2016, Narda scam, sting of Roy and others allegedly taking bribe. In 2020, TMC Neta Mukul Roy joins the BJP. Again, no action against Roy. All the other co-accused have been arrested. Himanta Biswa Sarma, 2014, Sarda scam, raided and interrogated by the CBI. In 2015, Kong's finance minister, he joins the BJP. Status not summoned since then. Narayan Rane, 2016, the ED charge was that he diverted 300 crores from tax havens to a residential project. In 2019, the Congress Neta joins the BJP. No report of further probe into the case. So this is Narayan Rane, Mr. Sarma, Mukul Roy, and of course, Suvendu Adhikari. Let's open this up, viewers, because this is perfectly set up for us to ask a very simple question. Is this a crackdown on corruption, or is this a conspiracy? Is this all legitimate, or is it vendetta? Let's open this up. And let me first begin with Mr. Amit Malviya, national spokesperson of the BJP. The charge is very simple, that you have got something against the Aam Aadmi Party. You're going after their leadership. It is not going to amount to very much, just like the other cases that I have actually referred to, Mr. Amit Malviya, especially the last few. How do you respond to this charge from the opposition that this is all vendetta?
Rahul, I think your viewers have been watching everything around Manish Sisodia's case for several months now. The agencies, it seems, have taken their time, but they are fairly sure-footed when they went ahead and arrested Sisodia. Now, it's the same Aam Aadmi Party that claimed vindication when the charge sheet did not name Manish Sisodia, and that was in the middle of an election, saying, look, he's honest.
Right.
Before that, on several occasions, Arvind Kejriwal has come out and said that if Sisodia has anything to hide or is involved in any kind of illegal activity, he must be arrested. Now that the law is taking its course, why should the Aam Aadmi Party have any objection? Also, today, the matter was presented before the court, and the court has given the CBI custody over Sisodia, and he would be interrogated. Now, the political rhetoric that the Aam Aadmi Party routinely indulges in is devoid of any merit. They did the same during Satyendar Jain's case. In fact, if you have the bites, you must play it out for your audience, that Arvind Kejriwal came out and he said that I have looked at all documents pertaining to Satyendar Jain myself personally, and there is nothing that he is involved in, and there is no wrongdoing. The courts don't think so. He has been in jail for several months now, and is likely to continue much longer because the courts do see evidence of wrongdoing and corruption in cases of Satyendar Jain. Exactly the same case is with Manish Sisodia. And you yourself in your opening comment have highlighted the several discrepancies. But I ask a few questions, and very simply, if the excise policy that the Aam Aadmi Party had put in place, and if it was so good, why did they revert to the old policy immediately after the CBI got in? Why did Manish Sisodia destroy several mobile phones and SIM cards? I don't know which model of mobile phone he uses, but today we have fairly sturdy mobile phones and they last you several months, if not years. And here is a man who has changed several of them in the last 6 months during the course of interrogation. Now, who does that? And one of the reasons I learned from the media that the CBI has arrested him is for destroying evidence. So what was the real tearing hurry for Manish Sisodia to do so? Several other officers, eyewitnesses, retailers, wholesalers have all confirmed to the fact that this was a money-making exercise for the Aam Aadmi Party, and they were expected to give as much as 50% of the profit margin they made. Now, how good is a policy that is actually bleeding the public exchequer, the Delhi state government's exchequer, and is also taking more money from retailers but benefiting the wholesalers? And that is exactly what this policy is all about. So clearly there is much that Manish Sisodia is involved in, besides the irregularity of putting this entire policy in motion, not going through the cabinet, not involving the LG. All these do point to the fact that Manish Sisodia was doing something which was illegal, and he was doing so at the explicit orders of his boss Arvind Kejriwal. There is no other reason why Arvind Kejriwal should be on the edge if he actually thinks that there is nothing that Sisodia needs to worry about.
Okay.
And lastly, if Arvind Kejriwal is so convinced, and so are the leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party, why are they on streets? They should be making a persuasive argument in the court, putting Manish Sisodia's side of the story, and I'm sure he will get the relief if it actually deserves. But at the moment, it all seems like that there is a lot of hula baloo about this whole case, because Arvind Kejriwal wants to muddy waters, make it like center versus political party. And let me finish. Last point, Rahul. And lastly, the gang of opposition like the TRS or some other regional party to the south are ganging up with Arvind Kejriwal because their own leaders are involved in this. And let me tell you that it's probably a matter of time when the agencies will get to them. So they should keep their powder dry to defend their own leaders and not burn their oil to defend Sisodia, because very soon the agencies could be at their doorsteps.
Okay, let me very quickly ask you a counter question, because this is at the heart of obviously this entire business of being arbitrary. So the record is that under NDA 2, which is Mr. Modi's NDA, 2014 to now, 124 politicians are under or are being investigated by the CBI. 118 of these are from opposition leaders. Only 6 are from opposition parties. Only 6 are from the BJP. 22 arrests have been made, charge sheets in 43 cases, closure report in 1 case, conviction 1, acquitted, discharge so far 0. Many people say the process here is worse than the punishment. You name us, there is no discharge, we are constantly summoned, and it is disproportionately. It's not as if there are no corrupt leaders in the BJP. If you join the BJP, your corruption disappears. And worse, look at the numbers, how they are sort of arrayed against the opposition. Now, in the UPA years, total politicians under CBI probe was 72. Of these, opposition leaders were 43. Congress and its allies were 29. So it's a better ratio. Arrests were 12. Charge sheets were 30. Closure report 6. Conviction 6. Acquitted, discharge 7. And when we come to the ED, 121 politicians are under probe. 115 of these are opposition leaders. 6 are BJP and its allies. UPA 2004 to 2014, 26 politicians under probe, 14 opposition and 12 Congress and allies. So it tells you something, doesn't it? Amit Malviya.
I'm glad you asked me that question. First of all, under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, the BJP's rank and file is very, very clear that there is no room for corruption. And that is why, unlike the UPA, there aren't incidents of corruption or leaders, ministers indulging in corruption. In the last 9 years, there hasn't been a single instance of any big ticket corruption. Why just big ticket? Not even a small ticket corruption. Okay. If the opposition does find any corruption involving BJP leaders, they must raise it and they must go to the court and get conviction.
Well, you yourself raised
them to do it.
You yourself,
Secondly,
your agencies talked about corruption when Suvendu Adhikari was in the TMC. You talked about corruption of Mukul Roy when he was in the TMC. When he joins the BJP, he's cleared. Himanta Biswa Sarma, he was corrupt when he was in the Congress, but not summoned after that since he joined your ranks. Narayan Rane, corrupt when he was in the opposition, and when he joins you, well, when he was in the Congress, he was corrupt. When he joins you, there's no report of any further probe. So obviously you're not going to find people in your ranks if no one is looking. That's what they say, the opposition, and I'm putting out the facts.
Rahul.
Yeah.
Rahul, let me just respond to you.
Yeah.
You did not let me finish because I was going to answer that question.
Right.
You speak of Suvendu Adhikari. Let me take one example, right? Because we can't get into all names. Let me pick up Suvendu Adhikari. Please get your team to pull out a Calcutta High Court judgment where a PIL was filed by TMC's aligned workers and lawyers against Suvendu Adhikari, and this was as recent as 6 months ago, asking for proceedings against Suvendu Adhikari in the Sarda scam, and the court threw it out. The court did not find merit in it. Now, on the second point about why no one is looking. If it is our job to look at corruption in the opposition parties, so is the job of the opposition parties to look for corruption in the rank and file of the BJP. What is the opposition doing?
Okay.
If I can tell you that Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi are corrupt and they're out on bail, that's the job that I must do as a political party, and I've done it.
Okay.
Similarly is the case with Sisodia and
no one is
else.
stopping the
what
opposition.
What is the opposition doing, I ask.
I
urge you to...
okay, so you're going to now, I'm sure, bring up the Rafale matter where the opposition made...
relating to Suvendu Adhikari.
Okay, fair enough. I'll just do that. I'll look for it. I'm sure you'll now point to the Rafale. I've cut you off, where you said that the opposition did raise a stink about alleged scam, and the courts, of course, threw it out. So that's QED. Okay, fair enough. Let me just bring in Dr. Raman and Dr. Ranganathan.
Did not find any merit in it.
Okay, fair enough. Let me bring in Dr. Raman and Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Raman, it's a straight question. And one of the 5 riposts I'm picking up on from Mr. Amit Malviya, he says 7 phones for 1 number, for instance, against Mr. Sisodia. That's the claim that the ED is making, and it's part of its prosecution complaint. So I'm not making it up. Also, additionally, Sisodia, according to the ED, was also using a phone registered in someone else's name as well. Why would he be doing that? This itself is a smoking gun. There is one approver and there is another. I'm saying this is what the ED is saying. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just saying this is what the ED is saying. And also, that certain... One second, let me just finish. Also, this is what Mr. Malviya has said. Also that certain allowances were made which were not part of the recommendations of any of the committees for these bidders. So how do you explain all of this? Dr. Raman.
Yeah, Rahul, I trust since Mr. Malviya spoke for 20 minutes, you will give me the courtesy of 2 minutes of uninterrupted time.
Sure.
First of all, the agencies have been after Mr. Manish Sisodia for almost a year now. So far, there is no money trail. This is money laundering without money. Now, the third very, very important point is about the fact that you cannot have hearsay. Somebody said he took 50 crores. Somebody said, Manish Sisodia was paid money. This is not evidence in a court of law. You have to corroborate it with transactions which have happened, with money going into Manish Sisodia's account. You searched his house, found nothing, searched his lockers, found nothing. You have questioned hundreds of people. You've still not been able to establish the proceeds of crime. Where are the proceeds of crime? Where is the money trail linked to Manish Sisodia? And again, after all of this, I'm not even going to get into the cases against Narayan Rane. By the way, you left out 2 very big names.
Okay.
Y.S. Chaudhary, who was called the Vijay Mallya of Andhra by GVL Narasimha Rao, a colleague of Amit Malviya, CM Ramesh. The list goes on and on. People who have been ritualistically purified after they joined the BJP.
Okay.
And I think it is a bit, rich of Mr. Malviya to say, if the opposition parties have a problem, let them go to court. If there is evidence, the investigating agencies will have to investigate and produce that evidence before the court. It is not the role of the opposition parties to function as an investigating agency. What are the investigating agencies for? Only for targeting opposition politicians? And the same opposition politicians, the moment they join the BJP, become pure as white snow.
Yeah.
What is the problem with Mr. Manish Sisodia? What is it that requires custodial interrogation?
Okay.
1 year after the interrogation of the man, after the investigation into the man has started. And their last point, Rahul.
Sure.
There is a difference which does not seem to be known between a policy decision and corruption. A policy decision can be flawed. People could take disastrous policy decisions.
Right.
For instance, I'll give you an example. Mr. Malviya might want to recall demonetization, about which they never speak about.
Yeah.
That was a horrendously flawed decision.
Yeah, I think that point is well made.
There.
That you can withdraw a policy if you don't think it's working well on the ground. I get that. Now, the main nub of this...
You need to establish establish evidence of corruption.
Evidence. Okay.
Period.
I think you made
so far,
we
that, haven't seen any as far as Manish Sisodia is concerned.
Right. Okay. You made that point. Viewers, it does seem weird, I mean, on the face of it, that the CBI has got 124 politicians under the radar. 118 of these are from the opposition, 6 are from the BJP, and the ED actually trumps the CBI in their meticulousness. 121 politicians under probe. In total, 115 are from opposition, and only 6 are BJP and its allies. I mean, even the caged parrots of the CBI and ED seem to have had a better sense of objectivity than the agencies under. And Dr. Ranganathan is laughing. Why are you laughing, Dr. Ranganathan? You usually have a good sense of where the problem is.
Good evening, Rahul. You are absolutely evil because you've completely killed off the debate. You've actually stolen my data.
Oh,
it took me 2 hours. It took me 2 hours to unearth this amazing data that under the UPA, 60% of those raided by the CBI and the ED were non-Congress politicians, and under the NDA in the last 8 years, 95% of the... So I'm actually rechristening our investigative agencies as pandemonium because that's the collective noun for parrots, Rahul. It's a pandemonium out there of caged parrots. No, but as I see it, there are 3 issues here. Number 1, the alleged corruption and mismanagement because of the liquor policy under the watchful gaze of Mr. Manish Sisodia. Let me give you the facts on the charges relating to the excise policy that, by the way, our government suddenly reversed. There is prima facie evidence of violations of GNC TD Act 1991, Transaction of Business Rules 1993, Delhi Excise Act 2009, and Delhi Excise Rules 2010. You can't get away from these facts. Worse, there was financial quid pro quo at the top politician level where Sisodia took major decisions in violation of the statutory provisions. There was also, quote, deliberate and gross procedural lapses, unquote, to provide post-tender undue benefits to liquor licenses. Excise Department gave a waiver of 144.36 crores to the licensees on the tendered license fee in gross violation of Rule 4811B of the Delhi Excise Rules 2010. Excise Department revised the formula of calculation of rates of foreign liquor without approval of the competent authority. Sisodia's closest aide has turned an approver. These facts don't universally see the light of day because our government ad spending has increased by 4,273% over the last 10 years. Last year they spent 488 crores on ads. Number 2, Rahul, I have said this before, and as I said, you completely destroyed the argument and your debate because I say it again. Every CBI, ED or IT raid carries the baggage of being politically motivated, even if it is not, because number 1, the investigative agencies are not apolitical or independent. They remain parrots, a pandemonium of parrots. And when you domesticate a parrot, it finds its favorite shoulder. And right now, the shoulder is of Mr. Narendra Modi. Number 2, years of trial and error have now resulted in an established recourse that those who are raided take. A, if the raided are a media house or an NGO like the BBC or Amnesty, they cry government vendetta. And B, if the raided are politicians, they simply join the BJP. From Goa to Manipur to Bengal to Karnataka, every single politician when in trouble has dipped himself into this Behti Ganga, that is the BJP. Then miraculously, all leads go cold. All investigations come to a dead end. Remember Mukul Roy and how the investigations on him went cold when he joined the BJP? They have restarted again after he has returned to the TMC. Remember when the BJP demanded an ED raid on TDP's YS Chaudhary alleging fraud of 5,700 crores? Well, before the agencies could act, Mr. Chaudhary promptly joined the BJP. 95% of those who have been raided in the last 8 years, as I said, are non-BJP politicians. That the CBI, IT, ED agencies are the most potent weapon, Rahul, in a politician's hand is not conspiratorial cynicism, but a statement based on precedents. The BJP had actually promised to make these agencies independent in 2011 when it was in opposition. But the moment it came to power, the parrot remained a parrot. Just
prove, viewers. Yeah, okay. Dr. Raman, before I go into Mr. Yeah, I want to bring back Mr. Amit Malviya also. Yes.
Rahul, a lot of what Dr. Ranganathan said. Last point. See, the lot of what Dr. Ranganathan said relates to procedural violations. Assuming there were procedural violations, that still does not equal corruption.
I said so. Was there ill intent? Was there ill intent? That has to be proven. But there are certain. But there are certain allegations.
No, even if there was ill intent, Where is the quid pro quo?
Okay, one second. There are certain allegations that point towards what you are saying, which makes it a problem for the AAP. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, you wanted to get in there. Yes, very quickly.
No,
yeah.
I just want to make a larger philosophical point. What Dr. Raman says may be true, but the fact is you can have a policy that will favor a business person. Now, are you going to say that just because it's a policy, there is no corruption or ill intent there? So I think that's wrong, philosophically.
Yeah, okay. Well, we get the drift, viewers. Look, it was reversed.
If we go back into policies favoring business people,
okay.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you yourself have alleged
self-goal.
Dr. Raman, you yourself have alleged
certain business people.
Okay, let me just bring in one second.
Maybe starting with a particular letter.
Okay, let me just bring in Karthik Reddy, since his leader's name has been taken in the context by the Enforcement Directorate as well as other agencies. Mr. Karthik Reddy, there is a problem. The problem is being identified as kickbacks. There is money involved here. There is a money trail. Why should your leader then cry victim? K. Kavita and others.
Hello, Rahul. We just heard Anand Ranganathan speak, we just heard yourself speak, and we also heard Mr. Raman speak. It has become a monotonous cliche of an argument. As Anand was complaining that you killed the argument, I should complain that Anand also killed the argument. Most of the points which I was supposed to air today were laid out by yourself, Raman, and Anand himself. See, that is the problem right now in the country, Rahul. It has become so monotonous, it becomes so cliche, that the reputation of the agency itself is very apparent. And point two, before I come to your question, I take great objection in Mr. Amit Malviya's comment saying don't burn your oil because it eventually will come to you. This is the reason why we say that the CBI, ED are in the cohorts of the BJP. How did Mr. Amit Malviya know that eventually the CBI or the ED will reach our leader? And this is the reason why on national television we want to allege
because they
that
have been
it
questioned
is run
already
by the political bosses and not by the bosses sitting in their offices. Please, Amit, let me speak. And point two, he insinuated that all South Indian parties
but you should not be economical with truth.
Okay, one second, let him finish. You can respond.
Kavita Rao has
Amit,
investigated.
One second, Amit Malviya, I promise you, you'll get an opportunity to respond and rebut. Let him finish.
Tomorrow.
Okay, Mr. Karthik Reddy's turn, please.
You can't say that it is working.
Okay, Mr. Malviya,
BJP.
Mr. Malviya, let him make his point. You can rebut him, Mr. Malviya. Let Mr. Karthik Reddy. Okay, one second.
Questioned already by the agencies.
Okay, let him speak. Please, let him speak. You can rebut. I'll give you all the time.
These are his words, Mr. Rahul Shivshankar.
And how did
These
you know
are
that
his
it
words.
was the TRS?
Mr. Amit Malviya said the South parties are blaming us.
You know,
do not insinuate corruption.
Okay,
do not indicate that all South parties are correct. All South people are correct. This is great objection. Take back your words.
Okay.
Even the ED and the CBI should not use any geographical
insinuating. I'm
for the
making
matter
an
of
emphatic point.
I take great objection.
You should understand the difference between the two.
Will you?
No, Mr. Malviya, please let him finish. Please, this is not fair. He never interrupted you. He could have leapt out of his seat and started.
I'm fine for him to.
I'll allow you, Mr. Malviya, to respond. Not fair. I'll allow you, Mr. Malviya, to respond.
Amit Malviya, you are clubbing corruption to a region of this country. This is what I'm against.
Okay.
And point two, Rahul.
Yeah.
Today, we are from Guwahati to Gujarat, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. There are n number of cases where people have joined the BJP or become sympathizers of BJP. And what happened to those cases with the CBI ED? You all mentioned n number of cases. Maybe I'll add one or two. But today, the reputation of these agencies are at such low. We have hit rock bottom, Rahul, in this country. A company, today's India's market capitalization is down by $20 trillion, and this is because of one company which has pulled it down by 12 trillion in a month. And not one agency, or not the CBI, the SEBI, the ED, have not raised a finger. What is this? What have we become? A banana republic?
you claim that because of the excise policy in Delhi, we lost 2,500 crores. Today, the whole country is crying. The LIC's exposure of 30,000 crores is in its red. And what have we come to this country? This is where we are, and it is a shameless,
so let me bring in
ridiculous situation.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Malviya. Mr. Malviya, there is, perceptions matter. And when the dice seems to be loaded so against the and the statistics are speaking, this is not, bias speaking, this is just statistics. Surely people will wonder, दुनिया भर के सब करप्ट नेता सिर्फ ऑपोजिशन में, सब बीजेपी में दूध के धुले, and when they actually join your party, then what happens? Even on the Suvendu Adhikari point, let me tell you, while you're right that in specific about the Sarda issue, the Calcutta High Court basically dismissed the matter. I do agree. But Suvendu Adhikari also accused the West Bengal state level of the BJP leader, and when the CID does something, you say that, look, they are as motivated. So why shouldn't this apply to the CBI and the ED, especially when the statistics are speaking?
That's a great question, Rahul. And first of all, thanks for conceding that the court has dismissed the plea against Suvendu Adhikari, and therefore for several other leaders of the BJP that you question, I can narrate one after the other and the matter will rest. Okay. Having said that, you asked about Suvendu Adhikari alleging that the CID is targeting him. But eventually, when the matter goes to the court, what is it that comes out of it is important.
This is only
I
one
repeat
case.
again,
This is only in one
Satyendar
case.
Jain is still in jail despite... But Rahul, I can have a longish debate with you on every individual case relating to the BJP, but I'm sure we don't have enough time for it. So in the interest of debate, let me make the other point. The other point being, Satyendar Jain has been in jail. The courts have found merit in the allegations of corruption. Similarly, with Manish Sisodia, I'm not going to get into discussing the details of the case on television debates, but the courts have again found merit in sending him to judicial custody.
Okay.
Now, I want to clarify because the TRS spokesperson made a sweeping comment, and I'm not insinuating here. I made an emphatic point saying that the agencies have already questioned Kavita Rao, and it could be likely that she could be arrested in future. Now, there is nothing that I'm saying which is not known to the public. We know that there are several groups of South, particularly Telangana and Andhra, who are involved in this liquor excise scam.
Alleged.
It is public knowledge.
It's
and
alleged.
Therefore, it is for these parties to defend their own
actually, what we are coming down to in this debate, really,
Secondly,
I'll tell you what we're coming down to. None of us, neither does Dr. Ranganathan, Dr. Raman, none of us know, because we haven't got access to the documents, etc., etc. None of us know what is there in this particular case right now. We can only judge from what is submitted before the courts. And one second, Dr. Raman, I need to move on also. We've had a longish debate on this. The fact is...
Correction. He said Mr. Sisodia had been sent to judicial custody. He's been sent to CBI custody.
Yeah, CBI custody. Okay, one second. Lokesh Jindal is raising his hand. Lokesh Jindal, look, Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi are out on bail. The matters there have proceeded to quite an advanced level. So obviously the court at every level is finding reason enough to proceed with this matter, despite the fact, I'm talking about the Herald House case, despite the fact that you have moved the court on at least 2 occasions to dismiss this case out of hand, and it hasn't found favor. So why are you grumbling?
See, Rahul, apart from looking at it from the political perspective, it's important that we expose how BJP is using institutions so as to give itself a clean image. Now, all over India, almost every liquor, the liquor sector comes under the state subject. And what has happened is after the implementation of GST, because the excise input tax credit cannot be availed, so the liquor sector is under tremendous pressure. And the policy that was moved by the Aam Aadmi Party was in due consideration of this form of a lapse that was there, and that was one of the reasons probably why 5% to 12% of an increase for the wholesalers was introduced. And when I'm talking about this entire policy measure of doing away with the 4 government entities like DSIDC, and we had DTTDC. Now, DTTDC, which was Delhi Travel and Tourism Development Corporation, it was a loss-making entity. And that was one of the entities which was responsible. These 4 entities were responsible for about 50% of the liquor business. And these 4 entities were replaced by including private entities.
What's the point you're making? We're not going into the nitty-gritties here. What is the general thrust of your argument here?
What I'm saying is,
what
I'm saying over here is, it was a bad policy, no doubt about it.
Okay, so it's gone. Now the point is, was the policy, okay, one second, was the policy pushed for pecuniary considerations, or is it a trumped-up charge? Dr. Ranganathan, very quickly.
The manner in which CBI is trying to put up.
1 second, Doctor.
Look, very briefly, Rahul, because it's very important, and my good friend Amit Malviya, I don't want him to get away with murder here. It's just so utterly bizarre that the data that we have provided him, that 95% of those who've been raided in the last 8 years belong to non-BJP parties. It's almost... And any party would say, oh my God, ज़्यादा तो नहीं कर दिया. It's almost like Modi asking Amit Shah, कुछ ज़्यादा तो नहीं कह दिया partner, and Amit Shah saying, अब कर ही दिया तो देख लेंगे. It's just bizarre. It's so bizarre.
Amit Malviya, that's the problem. It's a perception.
And I want to ask him one question. When his response, Amit's response to this was that
you can be frivolous with the data as Anand is trying to be. No, Anand, let me finish. Anand, you have this propensity to twist data to make a balancing point, and I want to check you there. No, hang on. I want to really check you there. And I'm saying this again. And I'm saying this again. And I'm saying...
You're being unfair now. Please let me finish.
Look,
because your response to that was
look, I have to make this point here.
There are honest people in the BJP now under Modi. That's why
we have only 5%.
Now,
you did not hear me.
Do you mean to say that when BJP was not under Modi and the 60% of those people who were raided under the Congress were from the BJP, you mean to say BJP was more corrupt under Advani?
Okay,
you
quick one.
To have admitted that.
Quick response. Amit Malviya, quick response.
Look, listen, Anand, your problem is that you want to mutilate data to make a balancing point, and I think you should just get out of this propensity to do this all the time. I said a very clear statement. There has been no big ticket corruption under Prime Minister Modi, and not even a small ticket corruption. Now, if you, or for that matter, anybody in the opposition thinks that there... No, let me finish. Let me make my point, please. Let me make my point, please.
You and Congress were...
The thing is, if you think that there are BJP leaders that are involved in corruption, you've got to find evidence, and you can take the matter to the court. Because when we were in opposition, we did the same with the Congress.
Okay, viewers.
Whether it was the coal,
let me just step in here.
The 2G.
Okay. No, let's not.
Matter of corruption.
Okay, I get your point. I get your point. Viewers,
National Herald happened when the UPA was in power.
Okay,
the first time Sonia Rahul were booked when UPA was in power.
Okay. Let's very quickly get into this. Lower everyone's faces. Please, gentlemen. There's also a very important story that I want to bring to the attention of the viewers as we move forward. But I just want to tell you, we are having this discussion, this very passionate discussion tonight, only because the ED and the CBI, their track record hasn't been the best. And let's admit that. Let's at least start by agreeing on this one fact. We can agree to disagree about everything else, but the data seems to suggest overwhelmingly that under the NDA, there are a disproportionate number of cases being filed against the opposition. Now, the BJP says our people, their DNA, whatever it is absolutely honest. There can be no people who are corrupt, etc., etc. The opposition says, well, you don't look hard enough because you have the agencies doing your bidding. Now, viewers, this is unfortunate part of this debate. It's a bit inconclusive. We'll just have to wait and see how this matter progresses, because the test of the pudding is always in its eating. If none of these people end up in jail tomorrow, if they're all let off, like in the 2G scam the first time around, well, viewers, it will suggest that this was a witch hunt. So the BJP, if it is indeed on one, it is gambling. If it is not, well, it needs to prove its bona fides. I move on, viewers, because we are talking about a